What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of On the Card presented by TRHS Sports. We have a kind of busy day today, but not a very busy day in terms of bets. Yesterday was an absolute chaotic scene. We had the Lightning game that went on for 6.5 hours. Luckily, we were able to get through that one at least with a victory, so that at least makes us feel a little bit good. But that game took forever. I feel like that was my entire Tuesday. I felt like it was never going to end. We had a rough day in the NBA, just bad reads on what the Celtics were actually going to do against the Grizzlies. Portland ends up pushing, just for the sake of this podcast, counting all the pushes and stuff. I'm just going to count it as I got my money back, and I'm not going to add it to the record. It's just going to take so long to try to figure it out as things go on, winning percentage and things like that. So our MLB streak continued. We are 3-0 in the last 3 days in MLB. I've been throwing out one bet each day. I've gotten the Indians, the Phillies over 4.5, the Yankees over 5.5. The Yankees had it in the third inning yesterday. They go on to score, I think, 8 or 9. So they did really well. NBA, DeAndre Ayton, he had terrible hands yesterday, like awful hands. He kept on getting passes down low where he would be able to score, and he just kept dropping the basketball. It was really terrible. Chicago, Vegas, they didn't score in the first period. The second period did exactly what I thought. It went for 3 goals, which gave us the win there. But they didn't score in the first period, which made it really hard to go over. Once Vegas got going, though, that game just started turning up on fire. So I would be careful with that one. Don't be just guessing under next time just because. Stars lose 3-2 to the Flames. It was close. MLS, we went 1-1. Game ends 2-1. Orlando looked like the better team for most of that game. Portland ends up pulling out the win. 4-5 day overall, not the biggest deal. You come out of there, you're okay, especially after a 4-1 day, a 4-2 day the day before. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. You have one cold day, but it's really not even that bad of a day. Plus, if you got in with me at the beginning, if you got in with me on day one and you were here, the Portland Trailblazers are in the 8th position right now. That's huge because we have a future bet on the Portland Trailblazers at plus 400 to be the number 8 seed in the West. They're taking on the Brooklyn Nets in their final game. If they win it, they are the 8 seed playing in the play-in series against the 9 seed. And no matter who they play, they will only have to win one game in order to get into the playoff. Meanwhile, the team they're playing against will have to win 2 games to get into the playoff. So if you've been following along with me since the beginning, we're 36-27. 36-27. Our record for underdog bets is 4-3. So if you've been following along with me since the beginning, you're up about $900. If you've been betting $100 on every single one of these things, you're up about $900. And you have a 100 to win 400 bet still open and looking absolutely phenomenal. You've pretty much doubled your money. I'm just saying. So if you've been following along since the beginning, you started with $1,000, you've pretty much doubled your money if you've been betting along and doing $100 on each thing. Just saying. It's a big thing that we're doing over here. 36-27. Don't have much at all today. I'm really nervous about today's slate. I don't like it at all. It's especially I'm looking at the NBA. I don't really like what I'm seeing right now. There's just too much unknown going into this game. The Sixers are coming off a back-to-back, and that's probably the only place I'm looking for NBA. So I'll start off with the Pacers Rockets. Rockets are favored by 7 over the Pacers here. I don't understand what's going to happen in this game. I don't really know. I feel like the Rockets should blow them away. If you listened to me yesterday, what was it? The Rockets were favored or were underdogs by 4.5 against the Spurs. I ended up not taking that game. I should have just taken the Spurs. They end up winning by 18. I wasn't sure at the time of recording if Derek White was going to play, which is why I stayed away from it. I still think it's a safe stay away if you don't know what's going on there. So, yeah, I stayed away from it. I'm going to stay away from this game again today. I just don't want to bet either side of this, especially with 7 points. It feels like too much. Next game, Toronto versus the 76ers. I'm looking, and it looks like Toronto is going to play most of their players. Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet are not listed on the injury report for Wednesday's game. Serge Ibaka, he's questionable. OG is questionable. I think OG and Serge might not play, but if Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet aren't on there, they rested the last time I think they play today, and I think they play a lot of minutes. They're playing against a Sixers team that's playing on back-to-back. They're playing a lot of their backups. I'm not sure about Embiid's status for this game. My guess would be he doesn't play. They don't need the game. Why risk injury now when there's no way to move anybody up? So I'm feeling he's not going to play, even though we haven't gotten solid word on it yet. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay the points with the Raptors here. They're -6 against the 76ers. But if yesterday's game was any indication, this 76ers team just doesn't have enough talent. They don't have enough talent right now to play with anybody. And if Van Vliet and Lowry are both going to play, which it looks like they're going to, then I'm going to put this on the card. You should be paying attention, though, and make sure that they're playing. If they're not playing, like I would almost wait. Make sure that it's confidently that they're playing. Keep an eye out for Joel Embiid. Pay attention closely. Try to get in before the books can fix it. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take the Raptors -6 and put it on the card. Miami Heat favored by 2 over the OKC Thunder. I'm seeing that from Flamin' over here. Honestly, I'm not sure right now. I'm really not sure. Let me look up the Thunder on Roto World here and see what they're doing. Because look, I've been getting burned by the Thunder this entire time, and it's just really annoying. Gallinari's not on the injury report. SGA is not on the injury report. Nerlens is questionable, but how much does that matter? So I'm going to stay away from the game. I'm just going to stay away. I mean, I don't know if OKC is going to show up, if they're going to play somewhat hard. I do agree the Heat have more to play for because I guess they can make sure they don't drop down to the 6, so they're confidently in the 4-5. I think if they win this game, that's all but locked up. So I do agree that the Heat have more to play for. However, I'm not going to take that in this game. Definitely the side I would pick, though, would be the Heat -2. I'm actually seeing it at -2. Flamin' says Heat -2.5. I'm seeing it at -2 over here on DraftKings. So make sure you're shopping around and looking for the right thing. And then the Clippers versus the Nuggets. This is an interesting game because if the Nuggets win this and they go into the last game and the Clippers were to lose and the Nuggets were to win, the Nuggets would actually get the 2 seed. Now, it doesn't seem like that's too important to the Nuggets based on what they did in their last game, but they are taking on this Clippers team. And this is essentially for a 2 seed. I mean, this is arguably for the number 2 seed. So I'm going to stay away from it, but this is a game that's going to probably be very competitive. Very competitive. I think the Clippers are the better team. I think they want to lock it up here, but this is one to don't just be assuming the Clippers are benching players and don't assume that the Nuggets aren't going to try. This is a game that actually does have some meaning. So but look, I don't really have a side here because the Nuggets were benching Jokic and Jamal Murray at the end of the Lakers game. When they could still get the 2 seed, they're benching players at the end of the game. I don't think they care that much. So really interesting to look at. So the only thing I got on the card from the NBA today is the Raptors at -6. This is going to be a short episode. I hope you're all ready for this to be over quick. Again, though, I do want to say if anybody has any questions about any games, throw it in the chat. Let me know. I'll answer. I'll give the take that I can give the best. I'll at least let you know where I'm leaning or what side I'm on. So if you're wondering about a game, let me know. I have no problem answering it. I'll do a little bit more research on whatever it is you want me to look up. And also, might as well plug myself now. If you have any questions or want any betting advice, reach out to me on Twitter at Phil Wood Jr. And you can go to my website, betonphilwood.com. I always put up something on nightly, so it comes out right after I watch all the games. And you can get some more bets, although a lot of them from yesterday are really turning over into today because I don't really like much for today. So pretty much if you go over there today, it's going to be the same thing that you're about to see here. Although if you follow me there, you're getting the information when the line opens. And I'm telling you where I think it's going to move. And I'm telling you what I would get on. So for instance, for this next one, Philadelphia Flyers, Montreal Canadiens. That's what I'm looking at now. If you followed me last night, you got this under 5.5, which is big because it takes away the push if you get to 5. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, I'll take under 5. And if I push, I don't lose anything. I mean, you don't win anything either. Pushing is a loss. Not really, but you don't win, so you just get your money back. That's it. So a lot of people look at it, oh, it's not that big of a deal. You're getting better odds. Yeah, but you're not winning. Anyway, I'm still going to take the under in this game at 5 for Philadelphia and Montreal. It's at +115. If you were to do an alternate spread, and actually I'm probably going to end up taking the alternate here. I just want to take a look at this. For some reason, it keeps changing. But I just want to say that if you had the under 5.5 last night, you got this at a really, fair number. It was like -120, something like that. It's exactly what I expected it to be. So now you can if you were following me over on my website, you would have seen that. I just want to see if they even have it. Do they even have it? But anyway, so this game, I'm going to go with the under because the Canadians and the Flyers both play really good defense. They both play really, really good defense. The Flyers only gave up 1 goal in each of their games. The Canadians, that was their whole MO. I know they were playing against the Rangers, but their whole MO was just grind out victories and things like that. The Flyers goalkeeping has been on absolute fire. I love the way Carter Hart is playing. I do not trust this Canadians team to be able to beat him very often, if at all. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the game under in this one at 5. I'm not seeing an alternate here for 5.5. So I'm going to take it at 5. It's at plus 115. So you're getting a little bit of a good price. Another thing to keep an eye on would be the away team under 1.5. That's the Canadians under 1.5. It's plus 210. Not a bad price at all. Going against a team that has only given up 1 goal in each of their first 3 games being in the bubble. Not a bad price at all for that type of thing. Of course, you're going to have to sit here and sweat the entire game because in hockey, teams do tend to score at least once. So it would be annoying, but I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Montreal under 5, put plus 115, a little bit of an underdog there, but I really like that one. All right, moving on to the rest of the NHL slate. Carolina and Boston's playing now. I had told everybody yesterday when the game was supposed to be yesterday that I didn't like anything in that game. I still don't like anything in that game, which is why I had no problem going live when I did right now. I have no problem just ignoring that game and pretending it doesn't exist. Got the Islanders versus the Capitals, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Islanders. I'm going to put them on the card at plus 118. I like them against this Capitals team. If you follow me over on my website, I put out an entire NHL playoff preview. And I talked about who I thought was going to win each series. I like the Islanders to win the series. I like the Islanders at this price of plus 118. If this was only plus 100 or something like that, I probably wouldn't be taking it. It's not enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take it at plus 118, going up against the Washington Capitals. I like the Islanders to grind it out. What we saw yesterday was the round robin teams didn't look nearly as good as the other teams. I know that Vegas ends up coming out the win, but they took a little bit to get going. They're also playing a Blackhawks team that isn't very good. Let's be frank here. You have the Lightning. I mean, their goals were not pretty. What's his name had the most saves? Korpisalo had the most saves in NHL history in that game. And he turned away every good shot. The shots that the Lightning scored on, aside from their game winner, were BS. None of them were good shots. It was just like little crappy redirects. So the Lightning did. They ground out a win there, but they didn't look great doing it. They looked, I mean, look, I'm confident in the Lightning now moving forward because they actually got the win. But what I'm saying is from a standpoint of like, you're looking at this and you're saying who looked like the better team in that game. The Lightning looked like the better team, but the Blue Jackets played it the way they wanted to play it. And I fear that right now, a lot of the round robin teams are letting the other teams kind of control the way the games are getting played. We saw Calgary control the game against Dallas from start to finish. So here, I like the Islanders. Maybe they get a 1-0 lead and just sit on the lead. I really like them to hold on and get this victory here. And then we go to Arizona, Colorado. I'm not taking anything in this. If I was going to take a side, I would probably take the under at 5.5. Although I do think taking the Arizona under wouldn't be the worst idea. I think if you can get the Arizona under here, I think they're under. So they're under 1.5 is plus 195. They're under 2.5 is minus 148. Depends on what you like there. I wouldn't be opposed to taking their under of 1.5. I think Colorado is going to play sound defense. I think they're going to keep this one low scoring. And they could get out of here with a win. I'm not going to take anything though. I'm going to leave it as a wait and see. I want to see. And for game 2, I'll probably have a lot more bets for a lot of these games. I already talked about the Canadians and Flyers. If you're looking for a side in that, I love the Flyers. I think the Flyers win it. It's just I don't feel like paying the price for them. And then Vancouver versus St. Louis, it's the nightcap. I got the Canucks. This is another one. I think the Canucks win the first 2 games of this series. I get the Canucks at plus 130. If you're looking at, okay, but they're playing the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues are defending Stanley Cup champions. The Blues haven't won a game yet since coming back to the bubble, and I think that's a really big issue. I think that them not winning a game is really detrimental for their success, especially early on here. Will they get it back together? I think they will. Will it be too late? I don't know. So because of that, I have to sit here and I have to take the Canucks, who are hot right now. I mean, they won the last 3 or the last 2 against Minnesota. They looked really good in game 3. And then in game 4, they battled their way back the entire time. They're a never say die team. And I like them to actually pull out the victory here and move on to a 1-0 series lead over the Blues. So if you're looking to get a Blues future in, I would wait until after this game because I think the Canucks are walking away with it. So Here's my card for the NHL today. I got the Philadelphia Montreal under 5, a little bit of a price at plus 115. Vancouver at plus 130, and the New York Islanders at plus 118. Look, we're hovering around 500 with the NHL right now. We've got a couple of future props out there, which you can still get in on. Every one of these futures you can still get in on. Philadelphia, Montreal under 5.5 games. Colorado, Arizona under 5.5 games. Vancouver to win the series. You can get in on every single one of those props right now still because none of those series have started. So make sure if you're listening to go over and do that and put them on your cards so that you can win some money along with all those people who are winning the Blazers 8 seed because that's going to happen. Blazers just got to beat the Nets. If they beat the Nets, all they got to do is win 1 out of 3 against the number 9 team, which is probably going to be the Suns. I'm really hoping for my futures prop that it's going to be the Grizzlies. But because I'm a sports fan, I got to be rooting for the Suns here. All right. Final bet here. I'm going to stick with my plan of just doing one MLB bet. It's been working. We had the Indians money line. We had the Phillies over 4.5. We had the Yankees over 5.5. This was after an 0-3 day back in episode 4. I'm not sure what the date was on that, but it was after an 0-3 day. I said, you know what? Let's just do one a day and see if we can get ourselves back. Well, now we're at a 60% clip with the MLB. If you got in late, you're looking really good right now because you've won 100% of your bets in the last 3 days. And we're at a 60% clip on the season overall. Might as well just keep going with what I think is the best bet of the MLB each day. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the White Sox here at minus 125. They're favorites over the Detroit Tigers. Dylan Cease getting the start for the White Sox. He's looked better recently than he did at the beginning of the season. Meanwhile, the Tigers are throwing out Matthew Boyd, who has looked atrocious. He gave up 7 runs in his last game against the Pirates. That was the game that ended 17-13, which we were on the over in that game. Really hard over. And right now, he gave up, and in the 2 games prior to that, he gave up 4 runs in each. The White Sox are going to score runs against him. Dylan Cease is going to have a lot of run support. He can give up 2 or 3 runs, and I like the White Sox to get the win here. It's a really small price. I really like it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take that one. That game's starting in just an hour, so make sure you get in early on that. I think it's been working. Look, if I just take one MLB play, yesterday my second best play was the Cleveland Indians to win, and they got demolished. So good thing I only took one, and I'm going to keep going that way until it doesn't work anymore. So the card for today only has 5 bets, but that's okay. So you can't go too much than that. You can't go too much more than that every day. The card looks like this. Chicago White Sox minus 125 in the MLB. Raptors minus 6. Philadelphia, Montreal under 5 at plus 115. Vancouver plus 130. New York Islanders at plus 118. If you're listening, if you're a fan, please share this on social media. Please start getting the word out there. We're trying to build up TRHS Sports as much as we can. I'm trying to build up myself as much as I can. My website has now been going. I've been putting out an article every single day for 2 weeks now. So please get over there. You got 14 articles. I'm going to go consistently with it through all of these MLB and NHL playoffs. College football doesn't look like it's going to happen, or if it does, it's going to be in a reduced capacity. But the NFL is going to happen because they have a union. So anybody thinks the NFL is not going to happen, you're crazy. And I will definitely be sitting there doing a lot of NFL bets every week. So go follow me on Twitter at Phil Wood Jr. Go over to my website, betonphilwood.com. A lot of people have been contacting me over there. So if you want to contact me, feel free to reach out. I will answer everybody about anything. I don't care. And I'll see you tomorrow morning on the card.